National Performance Register. This is your edge. This is your insight. This is NPR. Let's go.
No, so for me, it's a whole the evolution of what we've been working on the last 3 years is one-on-one has been looking at the individual and what is necessary for you to be able to succeed in the space of one-on-one, and then it has evolved to what does it take for you to evolve to be successful in the 2v2 space. So now you adding things like spatial awareness, communication, and those type of elements into it. And then now the next phase that we're going into is going to be matrix rugby, where we are then integrating. So we're creating a pathway where we're taking a players from what does it look like when you're on your own. Now we're teaching you the skills of working with another person in 2v2. And then we want to take those, the best out of those and start integrating them into the traditional formats of rugby, 7s, 10s and 15s. So the project we are working on now is quite exciting, where we're creating integration between 7s, 10s and 15s into one game. And then now we want to find the best one-on-ones, athletes, and then see how we can integrate them and create a team of one-on-one athletes to be able to participate in the bigger formats.
Which in my head, if you can get 15 of the best 1v1 players for every position, you're going to have one more of a strong team.
Yes, that's the thinking of.
I would challenge that.
Please challenge it.
No, I would challenge. I understand if you've got 15 good individuals, but we know the strength of teams is that sometimes you have guys that are just workers and you have other guys that are good at certain things. And my sense is that the best teams in the world, you can't have 15
Malcolm
superstars.
Marx's.
You can't have 15 superstars. You've got to have some guys that are superstars and they need to know what their job is, but you have other guys that you don't see, like a Crocker Smith, and you're just making tackles, he's getting his head in the way, he's getting his body in the way. You know, that there's a lot of that. Anyway, I mean, I think it's that sounds exciting. I want to just track back a little bit. So where does this go developmentally? You mentioned the development aspect of it. So I understand that process, but where do you see this working developmentally for young kids that are, in different areas?
Yes. So I'm busy with my level 3 now, and the trends that I've seen in the game, especially with us, with the first division. The first division is basically the pathway to your URC, to your Currie Cup. The challenge that I've seen is the defense part of the equation. Everyone can run, everyone can attack, but defense is a problem for me in this space. Tackle technique, completion of tackles, and those type of things. So in what we have now looked at is how do we integrate, because one-on-one is essentially a product that we have created to evolve and to better athletes for the traditional space. So how do we go about it? We then looked at the grassroots and the teen space going all the way to grassroots, and how are we then able to integrate combat rugby and one-on-one, creating that scenario where the coaches are able to coach individually at a younger age. So one very good thing that I have seen through the coaching clinics and things that we have done with combat rugby is building the confidence, like you said, and building the skill and the understanding of the defense part of the game from a young age. So tracking. So for me, defense goes into 3 phases. It's pre-contact, in contact, and post-contact. So pre-contact, getting close to your target. Where are my eyes? Where do I want to place my foot? And how do I get to that space? So then that goes into tracking your target. It goes into footwork. It goes to...
Okay, and are you saying that there are drills, there are techniques, there are processes that you can identify through your research and your experience that will put you into a better position?
Yes.
Okay.
And then so it's you have to break it down. So you have to coach pre-contact on its own. You have to coach in contact on its own tackle selection, which type of tackles am I making, and then you coach post contact also, because now that's going into the traditional space of rugby. And then you take one-on-one as a place where you can then actively train these three elements of defense in a real environment. So that's where, so you coach the building blocks, and then you bring one-on-one, and you can actively then start coaching. Okay, now you need to get off the line. Remember, you need to get off the line, and those type of things that you can coach as a coach. So the building blocks are before one-on-one, and then you utilize one-on-one to build confidence and the technique, and improve and to polish the technique.
That sounds so exciting. I mean, I'm thinking, I gave a talk the other day about technique variability. And it's the one thing that you see, and you see it in a lot of, especially sports like cricket, where, you know, I'm batsman and I'm going to be taught a forward defensive, and you've got this picture of Jacques Callis.
Yes.
And there's Jacques Callis putting a forward defensive, and every kid in the Western Cape is now, I'm playing the forward defensive like Jacques Callis. If you happen to go to India, every child is doing it like Sachin Tendulkar. So, but there's no variability in that. And what I'm hearing you saying is that in this process, you're teaching them there's a selection you've got to make about the type of tackle you make. So, so I've got to have the right technique, but it's also, I've got to be able to adapt that technique. And that has massive implications for how we train.
Yes.
Also for reducing the risk of injury.
Yes.
And by reducing the risk of injury, you're going to reduce the pain and the soreness.
Yes.
Plus, then you increase the confidence. So to me, I can understand how that would be a valuable aspect to try and include, just in terms of what I've read and what I talk on in terms of injuries.
Yes.
The concerns that I have around coaching methods and coaching methodologies and how we coach young kids is that very often it's, okay, that's the gold standard. That's what we must that's what we must coach towards.
Yes.
But we don't take the individual into account.
Yes.
I mean, I would hope that the way that I would coach you and the way that I would coach Brad, just because of your two size differences, your
What do you mean?
context.
We're the same size. We are basically twins.
Brad, that's cute. That's cute. Twins? No, I don't see that happening. But you know what I mean? And I think that speaks volumes to that. I can only see this being successful, I must be honest. I don't.
Dude, for Andrew to say that's huge, he's very cynical, this guy. He can be quite.
I'd like to call myself a realist, Brad.
Okay, there you go.
So for me,
Andrew endorsed.
The bigger picture comes into coaching technique is the building block of it. But when we're coaching technique, confidence and reaction time. So it's that's what helps you to deal with situations, is when you know, okay, this is the picture that I'm seeing, what are my options in this space, and being able to make those decisions on the spot. So when you're integrating and you build that confidence and you build that fundamental technique at an early age, the more you do it, the more your reaction time becomes less, which then obviously mitigates injury risk, which also gives you more success in the space of you as an individual, of the role that you have to fill in a team, and the part of the team that you have to fulfill.
Freddie, I want to take you back to the grassroots thing, because when we chatted, it was very inspiring, because if you get right what you plan, and we're going to chat about it after we film here, you're going to change a lot in the game of rugby in terms of grassroots development.
Yes.
So just play out the scenario of how it would work. You are going to take your team and you're going to go to Kailicha. How many kids are you going to test?
Yes.
What drills are you going to do? And what do you do after that? So what's the process of what your plan is for your developmental program?
So for the developmental space, I'm looking at, so the first space that we're looking to target is your 15s. Under 15s, because then you have a 3-year lead up to your Craven Week when you now start entering the pro setup. So the idea is that we would go into the community and we will have a coaching clinic on day one, where we fundamentally coaching defense and attack and decision making all around rugby coaching clinic.
And is that just an open thing where are you targeting schools, or can anyone come? Is it one?
So right now we are looking to have schools that partner with us. The idea will be that we speak to rugby directors of schools and they identify their top 10.
Great.
And if we have 5 schools bringing us their top 10, we'll have 50 candidates Those candidates will go through the coaching clinic, and then after that, the day 2, they play one-on-one. So in their positions, they will play out one-on-one. And especially in the disadvantage and corporate social investment space, is the challenge has been that we have brands and people that are invested in rugby and want to invest in the development of the game, especially in disadvantaged communities, to find talent, because I think there's a lot of talent in that space. But the challenge of the traditional way of going about it, it's opinionated. So it's me as a coach, and I want to choose 15 guys from playing trials. And then now you have 15 or 30 guys that you have identified, but you don't really know the individual characteristics of each of those players. So with integrating one-on-one, we host it as a trial. So they ultimately filter themselves out. And the idea is like with the contender series, you take the top 2 and then you actively start coaching with those. So
from 50 down to 2?
No, it will go down from 50 to about 10.
Okay.
And then you work with those 10 because you already have the best attackers and you have the best defenders out of those 50 kids. Now we're looking at the fundamental skills of rugby: forwards, scrummaging, lineouts. We add those. We add breakdown. We add passing. We add decision making. Then we're actively able to minimize the input of resources through using one-on-one as a filtering system. So that is what we are working on, is being able to identify the best talent in disadvantaged communities, utilizing one-on-one so that we have a minimization of the resources needed to be able to provide quality coaching for a group of players.
And it also seems like there's a tail. So it's not just like a weekend or a 2 or 3 day experience for any of these kids. There's a tail that you leave, almost like your legacies. You go and say, now you've identified this, but now we're going to coach. And
yes,
that's cool. That's a really nice idea.
So am I right in saying, so you go and you identify 10 people there,
yes,
and then you're going to get 10 people in PE,
yes,
and you're going to get 10 people in?
So we are looking at Cape Town, we're looking at East London. East London is a massive area with a lot of talent. We're looking at Gqeberha. I would also like, because I have some roots in the north, so Pretoria, Johannesburg, find the best out of those areas. And then the idea would be based on the data, because like I said, now there's a correlation of the data that we have seen from the guys that are successful in one-on-one and the strength and conditioning, yes, part of the equation. We then use that data to then identify, let's say we have 10 in 5 different regional hubs, then we'll have 50 again. Then we utilize the data that
then we
created. We test all of them.
Okay.
So that's also where the testing comes in. It's easier to test 10 instead of testing 50.
Yes.
So if we can test 10 in each region, we will have data of 50 kids. And then from that data, we're going to choose our top 10 prospects, or we create a squad out of all of them. Or we create a squad of 20. The idea was that I'm looking at opportunities where we can then create high performance teams, and we can have platforms like Easter tournaments where we then bring these kids out to come and play as a team. We utilize that data, then we're selecting that team, on the selection of that team. And then we are now able to take that team and see them in the traditional space of rugby.
Okay,
I want to say one little quick thing.
Yeah.
Just from our previous, don't forget, but from our previous chat, what Freddie was saying was that those kids probably will never get the chance to have Craven Reed trials. But this way, it gives them a second chance. It gives them an in to bypass that tournament because they're not in some of the fancier schools that are commonly selected. And I just think that's so cool. Okay, now you go.
No, I was going to ask you, so you seem to be, as a coach, yes, and as an ex-player, you're quite driven by data.
Yes.
My experience is that data is not used enough.
Yes.
And you're going to make selections on your team, trying to reduce opinion, try to add the data to it. How do you think that's going to go? Does it go down well? Obviously with your organization, that's what you're driving. But in general, do you see there's a trend in terms of coaches? Are they wanting more data? Or are they still wanting to go on opinion? Or is the data thing actually becoming more of an issue? Because I could almost see from, and sorry, there's a second question I got for you, is that do you think these guys that you're picking up, these identifying, when you identifying these talents, is it the conditioning that they need, or is it the skill that they need?
So I think, especially from the disadvantaged community, there is a massive need for skill development and quality coaching. And there is a massive need of the strength and conditioning part of the equation. But the strength and conditioning equation also comes down to the nutrition part.
Yeah. Okay.
So for me, it's a combination of all these things that are needed to be able to create an ultimate rugby player per se. And then on your first question, the data, especially as a high performance coach, I am driven by data. So the data that I collect guides the decisions I make, the tactics that I create, because the player profiles, my game plan is based on the group of players that I have and their strengths and their development areas. So the game plan that you design is not, I believe in reactive selection. So that means I assess the players that I have, create a profile for each player, and those individual profiles will guide my team profile.
Yeah.
And then my team profile will guide the type of game plan that I'm going to be playing. So it's all about data.
So it all just folds into each other.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
In today's world, as a high performance coach, it is all about data.
I love it. You're looking at your watch. You need to go soon.
I do.
You do. That's fine, Freddie. I feel like, guys, we've just opened up a can of worms, and we could talk for hours.
Well, I think the one question I want to ask you is that how do people help you? How do people?
No, that's what I was.
How do people get involved? Because I'm looking at, a lot of these people are big CEOs of companies. They've got skill development funds.
Yes.
You're obviously an NPO, I would imagine.
We are a social enterprise, but we have now registered the Phoenix Foundation, especially because we are looking to get into the grassroots development and get into the disadvantaged community to find the best talent and be able to create platforms where they can showcase their skill. So the reach for this year is that we are looking for partners that will be able to come and be corporate social investment partners within their communities and utilize their CSI budgets to be able to help us to be able to go into the communities, work with nonprofits that are in the sports development space in the communities to be able to identify these guys and be able to create a structure that will cater for them. Like I said, so now, like I told you, the focus will be the under 15s. And we would love to be able to create a network where we can have 3-year development plan with these under 15s and see how many of them are able to get into their provincial teams. And those are then going to be our KPIs. How many of them how many clinics are we able to create? And then the second part of it is also the coaching space. So we are looking to create a structure where we will guide the coaches in regional hubs, upskill the coaches so that they are able to work with the group that is local. Like that, I think it's also a more sustainable and with more longevity in the program compared to coming and doing one coaching clinic a week or one coaching clinic a year. You are able to create a structure where we upskill the local coaches. We help them identify the best local players, and then we connect these two and they actively work together and we oversee the program. We are looking for brands and companies that would be invested and would be interested to collaborate with us. We're asking them to reach out to us. Obviously our Instagram is the easiest platform, but we are working on a website that will then obviously explain the finer detail of how we want to go about it and how and what return on investment we are able to offer to our partners that are invested.
Well, let's hope that somebody that's watching this has got some deep pockets.
Yes.
And I think it's a fantastic opportunity. I can certainly see from a science perspective that it's really honed in on very specific things, and you seem to be covering a lot of the bases. That's really cool. Really cool.
I appreciate it. Yeah, so we do want to reach out to a couple of companies. Please reach out to us so we can align and find synergies between us, like we have done with you guys over the last 2 years. It's been an amazing journey. We have BE enterprise development partners that have been working with us for over 3 years. So we have been able to create an ecosystem that also offers real return for the companies that do get involved and for the beneficiaries that we then work with on the ground.
Very exciting. Freddie, I think there's going to be, I'm very excited to move forward with NPR and you and Phoenix Group. And I think that the synergy, just off the top of my head, with ETA in terms of education and coaching and nutrition and all that stuff, I'm sure there's a lot there to chat about. Just for the people who are watching who love hearing names and like name dropping and stuff, not me, just the people listening, not myself. Who are some of the people that you've got with your buddies and stuff that are involved with you already in this process? Because I know that there's some exciting ones.
Yeah, no, so we have Raymond Rule, double European Championship and Springbok. We're going to be working, he's part of our board. I brought him on a couple of years ago because he saw what we were doing and he was interested to be part.
That's an old teammate though, eh? There's some old Free State
Yeah,
teammate
yes,
connections
yes,
there.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
And then obviously the Ronaldo Botma has been part of the journey, also an old teammate. So we're also having a couple. Shandlin van Wyk is currently playing for the Western Province now. SA Sevens player, we're starting a project with them in Saldanha. So there's a couple of ex-players and current players that are looking to get involved. So we are building that network bit by bit.
That's so cool. Rugby players giving back.
Yes.
You kind of go back and affect it. That's brilliant.
Yes.
That's lovely.
No, it's about, so for me, when I was in Poland and I was looking at retirement and I had to reminisce on my journey, that's when it became really evident that I wanted to be creating a company that will give back to the game and also foster opportunity for the next generation, especially in the disadvantaged communities. Like I said, I come from a disadvantaged community and the game has given me everything that I have and building the life that I have for myself. So it's about creating those opportunities for us.
Amazing. Freddie, thank you. I think we're going to have to do this again.
I'm open for that.
Yeah. Very
Well,
natural. We're just going to build the panel.
Yeah.
We're going to get a big desk and we're just going to have this panel.
We're going to need
of
more
people.
space because
We definitely need more
Raymond's
space.
going to come sit here.
Because I don't know if you can see, this is how close we actually are. Oh, your leg's been in my shot the whole time. There you go. Yeah, we are all together. Freddie, lean in there.
I'm in here.
Here we go. See, we're all there.
That was a photo moment, guys. All right, Freddie, thank you for having us. Andrew, get out of here. You're late, man.
Thank you for your insight.
No,
Let's all shake hands in the middle here, guys. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to leave
Thank you,
on
guys.
camera.
Yeah, cheers. Let's get out of here.